You're losing tens of thousands of dollars by not doing this. It still blows my mind when people have already spent a ton of money on hiring marketing companies and coaches, yet still have zero idea on how to sell their offers, products, and services in a genuine way that yields profits. This needs to be your number one priority if you're building any type of business. Otherwise, you won't make it. No matter how many followers you have, how great your content looks, how much you spend on ads. If your growth feels stagnant, you have a marketing and sales problem, and it won't fix itself with time or posting or by trying harder. The good news, after 15 years of teaching sales to well over 150,000 people worldwide, I know what will get you results. Sales is actually simple. It's your resistance and your beliefs around it that are making it hard. I brought on a private client of mine onto the podcast today to give you some much needed, clear and actionable direction. Heather Lisle is a communication and sales expert to service-based business owners. She specializes in teaching people how to adjust their verbal and nonverbal communication to quickly and sincerely connect with their potential clients so that they feel good about working with you and are eager about paying you and getting down to business right away. But before we get into the juice of it, what is wrong with you? Why have you not signed up yet for 3 days to make bank in your business? This is a one-time only event. This is not something that I run every month or every quarter. Literally, this will not happen again until next year if I decide to run it next year. And it's completely free. It starts tomorrow. So you need to sign up right now. And if you're listening to this and it's already March 7th, you can still get in. So you're going to want to swipe up. The link is in the show notes. If you don't want to look at your show notes, go to ProjectMeWithTiffany.com/makebank. ProjectMeWithTiffany.com/makebank. It's also in the link in my bio on my Instagram. I mean, this is where I am going to teach you in 3 days, giving me around 75 minutes each day for 3 days. You get a 24-hour access to the replay because we have people coming from all over the world and you might be working. So don't worry, you can still get the replay. Plus $15,000 in prizes that we're doing, okay? Day 1 is how to stand out in an oversaturated industry and have ideal clients thinking of you first. Day 2 is learning my proven technique for creating content that sells for you around the clock so you don't have to. And day 3 is how to handle the dreaded I can't afford it and I have to check with my husband objections. So you're crazy if you're not signed up. So pause right now, go register, get in there, and then you can continue listening to the episode. I'm emphatic about you coming to this because I know what you're going to walk away with. And there are so many people who have said, Tiffany, this is literally the best training I've gone to in years, and it's free. And I've done paid things, multi-$1,000 things, and I've gotten more out of this. So don't miss this experience. Yes, there's a replay. Get in there. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and you are about to make a crap ton more money in your business, especially if you are a service-based entrepreneur or you're in some form of a sales role, or you want more clients, you want to be able to sell more houses, you want to have, you want to be able to sell more of your high ticket programs. And it's not strategy that we're going to talk about today with my coaching client, my friend, my master communications and marketing expert, Heather, we're going to really get into stuff that I can guarantee you've not thought about, and it's not to shame or blame you. You've just never been taught this before. So why would you know? And some of it's going to seem obvious, but again, be kind to yourself. Why would you know this unless you've been trained to do this? But you are leaving a lot of money on the table, and we're going to help you fix that today.
Yes, we are.
We were just talking before we pressed record, and Heather, you're giving me like just some examples of it. And I would love to hear, and obviously you're not going to like name names, but give us an example of one of your accounting clients or a lawyer that's well-educated, great at what they do, has a great reputation even, but are having a hard time signing on more ideal clients. And it all comes down to how they're communicating and approaching people.
Oh, absolutely. We all tend to communicate how we want people to communicate with us. And the problem with that is that I look at my accountants and my lawyers that I serve, and especially I'll give an example of a client that I've been working with who is an accountant. He's managing partner of a large firm here in Texas. And so our accountants are typically very data focused, as they should be. They're highly analytical, very logical, very data focused, love their spreadsheets. As any accountant, you would want them to be that way, right? But the problem is that when you're like mid-level in your career and you're thinking, hey, I want that partner path. Okay, guess what, guys? You've got to go develop some business. You've got to bring in some clients in order to make the millions of dollars that these guys are making, right? And gals too, for that matter. And the problem is that they've been trained to be an accountant or a lawyer. They haven't been trained to go out and actually develop business. And that is a big part of making the bigger bucks, right? So anyway, I was telling Tiffany earlier, I was working with this guy, again, managing partner of a large accounting firm here in the Texas area. And he messaged me on LinkedIn and he was like, hey, I've been watching your posts. I have all sorts of training videos and educational carousels, all that crap that we all do, right? Well, maybe not we all do, but he was watching my stuff. And he was like, I learned that the way that I was communicating, it wasn't landing with my ideal client. And he was like, I had to tweak some of the words that I was saying because he is a very data focused guy and loves the spreadsheets. Guess what? His client that he was trying to attract are C-suite level people, and C-suite level people tend to be very dominant, results oriented, don't have a lot of time, don't waste my time, just bottom line me type of people. And he was coming to the table with all the spreadsheets and they were like, hell, I don't have time for this crap. Just tell me the nuts and bolts of why I should work with you.
And that's my style. And when someone comes at me, whether it's for a mastermind or it's a lawyer, or it's a CPA or whatever, and they're giving me it's X many modules and you're going to learn this. And here's the spreadsheet, this and I don't care. I don't care. Just, I need to know that you can do what I need you to do, that I can trust you, and that you're going to give me results.
Absolutely.
And how much are you?
Yeah. And how much are you? And what's this going to take to move the needle, And it was so interesting. So I asked him, I was like, so what type of results have you had from implementing some of these strategies or whatever? And he was like, from LinkedIn, he was able to land two $200,000 clients. One of these clients, big private equity company, he was like, they'll likely easily be $1 million client. Easily be $1 million.
And this is from your free content.
Yes. I'm like, holy crap, man. That's incredible.
So let's talk about, because one of your tools that you use is the DISC assessment.
Yes.
So first tell us what that is.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm sure probably many of your listeners know about Enneagram, probably have taken the Myers-Briggs if they've been in any sort of leadership program at all in their career. The colors testing. I mean, you've probably heard of some of these assessments that are out there. And the DISC assessment is another tool. It's another assessment. The reason why I love it, it's super simple. It's 4 quadrants. It's 4 buckets of communicators, essentially. It's pretty easy to remember and to teach people. It's, okay, I can remember that pretty quickly. I've got a 1-pager that gives you all the information that you need to know, and boom, you're done.
Can you tell with people right away what they are?
Oh my God, yes.
Like,
absolutely.
what, am I the C-suite person or no? Or am I
You are the C-suite person. You're a dominant personality. Although I think that you have a little bit of what I call the influencer, the energetic, positive type as well too. I think as business owners, we have to have a little bit of that. We've got to be able to network. We've got to be able to communicate and have fun with it. What I've always loved about you, Tiffany, and I've told all of my clients this, and I always reference you too. I'm like, if there's one thing that I learned from Tiffany Carter, I learned a lot of crap from Tiffany Carter. But the one thing that I learned that I still use every day is if you're not having fun with your business, then you're not doing it right. Or you need to scrap it and do something different, right? It's like, you got to have fun with it. And back to you, I think that you're definitely a combination of a dominant and an influencer type. You're results oriented, bottom line me, but I want to have fun doing it too, for that matter.
So the influencer type is like, how is this going to feel working with you?
Oh, yeah. They want to know that it's going to be fun. They're energetic, lots of enthusiasm, that kind of thing. But they also tend to be very results oriented too. It's at some point we need to get down to the bottom line. How is this going to impact me? What is this going to do for me? So your dominant types, so again, C-suite level typically tend to be your D type personalities, very dominant, results oriented. They don't mess around. It's just get me what I need.
And don't don't fluffy talk, circle talk.
No fluff talk, like absolutely no fluff talk. And then you have like 45% of the population tend to be S personalities, which are steady relators. These are people who tend to be introverts, but they're people focused. So they love their people. They're collaborators by nature. They want peace and harmony. They want everybody to be okay. Those types of people struggle with D-type personalities. And our S-type personalities they take a long time making decisions as well too. So certain personality types don't tend to mix very well.
They're not receptive even to that person's like communication teaching style either.
Oh, absolutely. No, not at all. And it's so funny. I've worked with an S personality type and she struggles the most with D type, so much so that I don't think I really want to work with D type personalities. What is it that doesn't, what causes that feeling of this resistance of it not working? Yeah, she feels, and I've heard this from many types just like this. The D types they're intense. They can be intense. And our collaborator, peaceful harmony people, they take that sometimes as an attack or an assault, or when you need to make changes, when it's bottom line, you just get to the point. Our S-type personalities are like, oh my God, I don't want to get to the point. I want to talk more about this and and so they tend to have conflict like that. And then our C-type personalities are what we call our conscientious types. They're very data focused. They're my accountants and engineers, very data focused, highly analytical, very introverted. Again,
they ask a ton of questions when they're doing like a consult, or I get them on an application call. I'm talking like
ton of questions,
like rapid fire.
Yes.
Question upon question upon question upon question.
Yeah. And their biggest fear is being wrong. And so that's why they have all those questions. And so that's why I teach my clients is you really do have to quickly identify these types. And that's why I love that it's only 4 buckets, because you can pretty quickly go, okay, they tend to be a little bit more introverted versus extroverted. If they're extroverted, they're going to be either the happy-go-lucky influencer type like me, or they're going to be the bottom line me, let's get to the point type, right? If they're introverted, they're typically going to be like my S types, collaborator, harmonious, or they're going to be like, I hate to call them my accountant types, very introverted, data, not interested in your family story. Just give me the facts, please.
But it sounds like you can have a mix of both, because now that you're explaining it, I totally see my mix of both. Or it's that I have subconsciously, through all of my years of being mentored and trained, maybe I've developed
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
both.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It is so fascinating when you can quickly identify the type of person that you're sitting in front of. And I've told people before, it's like where I really started to hone in this skill before I had my own business. I was chief of public affairs for a state elected official. And so I was in charge of meeting with, you name it, C-suite level people, educators, students, nonprofit executives. I mean, all the different legislators, governor's office people, all the different types who had an opinion on something. And so I had to quickly assess, okay, what is this person going to have to hear from me in order to feel seen, heard, understood, and that we're moving things along one way or the other? It's either dead in the water or we're moving it along. But I've got to be able to quickly assess that in order for us to have a coherent conversation.
Are there certain types that you determine in working with people saying, that's probably not going to be an ideal client for you to market 100%. To?
Yeah, 100%. Especially like my S types, my collaborator, peaceful harmony type people. They really struggle with dominant people because they feel ramrodded. They feel railroaded. They feel an intensity that really is uncomfortable for them. And so lean into that. Again, I go back to some of the things that you taught me. If it doesn't feel right, you need to switch gears,
Right. We don't need to stuff a square peg into a round hole. Like, in fact, please don't, because that's where you get exhausted.
Oh my God.
I've done it. I've tried. We're not for everybody.
Right.
Like and I'm very clear about that. And you and I were just talking. You're like, I'm even going to be even more clear about it now, who you're best meant to serve and help and who you're not. And it's not an offense to anyone. It's not personal. There are some people where I am not the best fit for you. And same
absolutely.
You, right?
Yeah.
Who would be an example? What personality type is not that you couldn't help them, but it's just not the best exchange.
It wears me out.
Energy and time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So my S-type personalities, it's like I love them as friends. Working with them, S-types also tend to be very indecisive. I'm a very decisive person. Once I give you all of the information, once we've had one or two conversations about it, if you're not on board with it, I feel like I am exerting so much energy to get you to do the damn thing. And if you're not going to do it, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, this isn't, and it wears me out.
I attract a ton of these people. You have to attract a ton of them because I feel when you're someone who's very grounded and decisive, the people who are indecisive want that.
They do.
They think they want it.
They think they want it. And then when you start trying to hold them accountable or setting deadlines, and then there's resistance there, that's when it gets tough. And so I just have found, again, we were talking earlier, I just have found over the course of the past 18 months that typically the people that I enjoy working with, I actually enjoy working with my C-type personalities, my data focused, highly analytical people, because I really feel like I can help them. I can help them break through some barriers that they've had with their communication.
Is this kind of the old adage, like opposites attract? Because to me, you're the exact 100%. Opposite of that personality type.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So even if they got 7% more leaned in to your type, they're going to get the results that guy got.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I think it's also a challenge too. I love a good challenge. And it's like, just like you said, if I can just help them 5 to 7% get better and then see the massive results that I know that they can see, it's very gratifying.
Let's talk about some examples of, and it's all innocent, but innocent communication mistakes and approaches that people are taking in business, where if they had just learned and spent the money and invested the time, energy, and money in learning how to more effectively communicate and sell to their ideal client, they would be bringing in far more money with far less effort, but they just don't know any better. What are some classics?
Oh gosh, I've got a couple of examples. So last year I worked with a career coach, and she had worked in HR for Wells Fargo in California for, 30 years or something like that. And then she retired, wanted to open up her own career coaching company or whatnot. But she was a C-type personality, lots of data, lots of facts and figures, blah, blah, blah. So when she started her company, she hired a marketing company to come in and help develop all these beautiful resources. And I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Right, like all the pretty graphics and website, and none of it converted.
None of it did. None of it did. And she and I met and we were talking, and I asked her, I was like, we were on a Zoom, and I was like, hey, just like drop the link to some of the stuff that you've developed. I'm just curious. I just want to see what you've done. So I'm looking through it and I'm talking to her. I'm like, okay, so who do you sell to? Who are you primarily working with? And she made the comment that she's always worked with people who are aspiring C-suiters. So
like upper management people.
Upper management, senior vice presidents, that kind of thing. People who are aspiring for C-suite level. And again, just knowing that my C-suite level people are they're very busy people, bottom line it, give me the data, give me the facts, but I'm not going to read a 25-page pretty PDF with all sorts of charts and pretty pictures and stories of families on it. Like, they're not going to do that. And that was the entirety of her marketing material, was all of that.
It was the exact opposite approach for the exact ideal client she was meant to serve.
The exact opposite.
Because these marketing, that's why I always tell you guys, like, it's not about the pretty, the slick, all of that. If you have missed the mark on it, you can even spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. It won't work.
Yeah. Oh, tons of money. This woman spent a lot of cash on stuff.
And was her mind blown, or did she go into resistance about it?
Yeah, like on the Zoom call, I see her face just drop. And I told her, I was like, okay, Jenny, here's the thing. You've developed a lot of great material. The problem is that the people that you're trying to reach, they want bullet points. They don't need charts, graphs, and 25-page PDFs. They just need bullet points and access to some testimonials to see that your stuff and blah, blah, blah. But they need bullet points, and you're giving them way too much information that they can't absorb it, nor do they want to.
You know what that reads to me? It's like when I say, when you guys overgive with information and you information stuff, and you can stuff, meaning with too many words, like unnecessary words. Yeah. It reads to certain personality types as, this person's going to be a lot of effort to work with. This is going to be hard. This is going to take a lot of my time versus, this person's going to be quick and easy and fast to communicate with.
Oh, absolutely. So another example that I'll give you, I was at lunch with a dear friend of mine who is C-suite for Aflac. And he is a big disc guy as well, too. His team is big on it, and we've done it with them. He was telling me that he had a client that he was going to visit, multi-million-dollar client. And this woman, he walks into her office and he sees pictures of family. There's a candy bowl on her desk and like a little sign that says, "You are welcome here."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'd be like, don't know if I'm giving money to this person.
I know, but she is the primary decision maker for benefits for this multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? And so my friend is a high D personality. Give it to me quick. I want the result. I don't want to have a talk about your family. But when he walked into her office and he saw these things on her desk, he was like, I'm going to have to talk about family. I'm going to have to ask her about were they in Colorado or Utah in that picture? Talk to me about that picture. He had to adjust his communication style because he's so direct that was going to put her off big time.
Yeah, it can be rude, off-putting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he had to adjust his style. And of course, they continued on with the account. She was a new person who was reviewing all of their vendors and that kind of thing. He could have easily lost that business if he went in not paying attention to the cues that she was giving.
Would you say, in all of your decades of experience, and I know you're a people watcher like me. We're a little nosy. We like drinking our wine and people watching. Do you feel that so many business owners, even employees, but like business owners, entrepreneurs, that they are having to work so much harder and they leave so much money on the table and they get all these no's when they could be yeses purely based on their approach and communication
100%.
and marketing of their services.
Yeah, absolutely. Like hands down. And it's even been funny in my own business, starting my business and getting it up and running, and why I hired you was to help me nail my message and what is it that I'm all about. And it's just the simple things that we don't think about. We overcomplicate everything. We think business is supposed to be hard. I remember you telling me this. It's like, it's not supposed to be this hard. You just have to pay attention. Like, pay attention to the small things. I know I was telling you earlier before we hit record, there's this book that I've been reading called Cues, Cues. It's The Laws of Charismatic Communication by Vanessa Van Edwards. And I'm incorporating some of her pieces that she talks about in this book into my trainings that I do, because I'm like, the nonverbal communication cues that various styles tend to put out are dominant type personalities. They tend to cross their arms across their chest. They don't smile.
They put the hands on the hips. That's the guy power posture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're going back to my guy who went in and saw the pictures of family on the table, if he went into a meeting like that, woman who's behind her desk is just kind of, whoa, that's too much. I'm having bad energy vibe here. That's not going to work for me.
What is something that, like, you're the influencer type? Is that what you are? What is, and you said I'm like partly that too.
Mm-hmm.
What are some body language cues the influencer type might do? And this is like the positive, remind us what the influencer type traits are.
The influencer type is our energetic, fun-loving, love the positivity.
Have a good time. Okay.
Yep, have a good time. They're going to use their hands. They're going to smile. I know, it's just
like a whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I'm having a dance party right here in my seat. But they're going to use their hands. They're going to smile. They're going to nod their head. They're going to tilt their head. They're going to listen in. Those are the cues that they're going to be giving off. Whereas your C-type personalities, who are very non-emotional, are data, highly analytical people, they're going to, and they're introverted as well too. They're going to, we call it blocking. They're going to be blocking themselves physically, either with a computer or a journal or notebook in front of them, or arms across the chest or whatever. And so you have to pay attention to these things as you're walking into, I don't care if you're a C-suite level person, you've got a team of people that you need to come on board with an idea. If you walk into the room and you've got a bunch of influencer type sales people on your team and you're a dominant personality, you've in order to get them on board with your idea that you're trying to sell to them, you better infuse some personality into it. You better have some fun doing it, or those people are going to sit around the table and look at you and go, yeah, I'm not interested. And so it's so fascinating.
How does this, because I know when you first started coaching with me, like, you were new to putting your brand out there, like online, like getting clients and cash online, like obviously in person, that's something that you're very familiar with, developing those relationships. How does this translate into being on video and like these LinkedIn videos you do, and translating it online, like even in written form, even on a sales page?
Yeah. I mean, again, I teach my people, okay, if you're my accounting types, who are my hard C's, very data analytical, non-emotional types, and you're trying to sell to, say, a D personality, okay, we still have to be very results oriented, but I'm going to need for you to smile on occasion. Okay. The whole non-emotional, our D-type personalities, they're bottom line me, but they still have warmth about them as well too. Okay. And so you're going to have to smile. You're going to have to do a few things so that person on video is going to trust you. Right. And I've heard from some people, oh, I feel like I'm just being someone different than what I am. And it's, if you're selling to a certain type of person and they're not going to receive your communication, again, we all communicate how we want others to communicate with us. The problem with that is if you're selling to somebody who's different than you, you're going to have to adjust. You're just
right. And maybe if that's too hard for you of an adjustment, that's not your ideal client.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
And that's okay. Absolutely. You didn't know, right? That's not your gig. And in fact, you focusing on a different type or two, you're going to realize how much easier that is. Because we probably all have a version of these types within us.
Oh, we do. We do. I definitely have I'm going to say a little bit of C in me. And I've learned to have more C in me having my own business. I have to be. I've got to watch my financials. I've got to pay attention to the details. I've got to analyze and realize my numbers that are coming in.
It's probably not your favorite thing to do.
I
get off on
it. Yeah. I hate it, but it's one of those things where I know I have to do this once a month. I've got to sit down and look at my numbers and go, okay, are we headed in the right direction? Do I need to adjust, blah, 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 move on kind of a thing. But yeah, we all have a little bit, but we all tend to go typically one or two different categories. Again, I'm an influencer type personality. I also have quite a bit of D in me as well too. But I am definitely not an introvert. On the same token, I'm a collaborator and I like peace and harmony. And I want to make sure that the people around me are feeling seen, heard, and understood too. So I have a little bit of S, but we all tend to focus on at least one or two main areas is really the end of it.
When someone identifies as more like introverted and shy, and the idea of doing video and like putting themselves out there, whether it's in person or online, they're making themselves do it for their business and it takes a lot. The last thing they want to hear is, I'm going to have to be performative in any way. What would you say to those people who are like, I'm not like Heather and I'm not that bubbly and energetic and I'm not like Tiffany who's crazy and like dances and laughs all the time. Like, I'm not that person. I do have a resting bitch face and I am more like ethereal and in my feelings all the time. What do you suggest to people like this, where that feels so like outer body to them?
Yeah, I always say, who's your ideal client? Who are you trying to sell to? Are they like you? Are they more cerebral? Well, then talk cerebrally to them. But who's your perfect client? Who is it that you want understanding and hearing your message? Like, really think about that. And if they're like you, great. If they're different than you, then yeah, you're going to have to amp it up a little bit. If they're more of the influencer type and you're more the C type personality, the data person or whatever.
Would you say my theory of like attracts like, it sounds like what you're saying is your ideal client is a combo of attracts like and opposites attract.
It's either one or the other, right?
Because when I'm thinking about it, of like, well over 150,000 people I've coached, it's the attracts or it's the opposite, like the indecisive, creative, multi-passionate entrepreneur who has a million ideas and is all over the place.
Yeah.
They're attracted to me and I really enjoy helping them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny. I tell everybody I've been married to a lawyer. I'm now married to an accountant. I don't know.
Clearly that personality type gravitates. It makes sense to me though.
It does. It really, if
you have what they want, you're like they're like the vanilla ice cream and you're like the hot fudge with sprinkles.
I'm the hot fudge with sprinkles, Tim.
Listen, I can vouch for this. Okay. We've hung out in person. One of my coaches, and I'm obsessing and thinking all about this. I tend to go for coaches who are there's more of an emotional take. They're very even. There's more nurturing, nurturing.
Yeah.
I don't tend to go for, including like fitness trainers. I don't go to the boot camps. I don't need to. That's in my head. Thank you. That was my childhood. Like, I don't need that. I like the more nurturing, not coddling, but I like that combo of like, I'm very, very warm and we can talk about all the feelings, but I'm also going to like be straight up with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so interesting. Attracts, and sometimes it's attract as well, too. And so, again, it's just looking at, if you're a business owner or a corporate executive, who's the person that you really enjoy working with? Really think about, how do they best communicate? How can you best communicate to them that's going to land with them? It's so funny how I even got started down this whole disc. I've been a trained disc facilitator for 7 years. And when I was starting out in business, I would have my private clients take the disc. So I knew what type of communicator that they were, right? So it's just, I started out with that just because I wanted to best support and help my clients because not all the time are they going to communicate like I do.
And if you want to get them, which I know you do, the best results and have the best experience,
absolutely,
we need to pay attention how this person best learns and
right.
operates. It's no different than a personal relationship.
Oh, absolutely. It's no different. And I look at it like this. I want my clients to be so successful. And in order for us to really do that, we've got to dig in and figure out what are those triggers? What are those motivating factors? And DISC helps me do that. It's just a tool in the toolbox.
How can people take this assessment? Do you have some access point where they can do it?
Yeah, I know that my Instagram and LinkedIn handles are going to be dropped in the show notes, but people can either reach out to me or click the link in my bio on Instagram, and I've got all of my resources there as well too when you click the link in my bio. So
that's perfect, because I know that's what I mean. If I was listening, I'd be like, I think I know what I am. We all want to know what we are. Like, I know. What are some other ways digitally, meaning in social media content on websites, that you see people really missing the mark, missing an opportunity, and it's innocent? Is it that lack of thought?
Like it's the lack of thought.
It looks nice, and so here I'm putting it out there.
Well, it's the lack of thought. And again, back to what you've taught me as well, too, that emotional connection. And how can you establish that emotional connection with your words on your website, on your social media post? And if you know that the person that you're trying to attract is, say, a D-type personality or whatever, you've got to use data and facts. You've got to use bullet pointed lists. You can't have posts that are going to be 1,000,000 miles long and that they're not going to read it. They're going to scroll right on past. Again, this really dials back to depending on who you're communicating to. And so I just have to plug this. I've got this really cool one-pager that tells people how you can quickly identify and how to communicate with various personality types.
Is that in your link in bio too?
Link in bio. Okay. It's all right there. Okay, link in bio. It'll take you there. But I mean, it will actually tell you, hey, if your target client is this type of person, here's how you quickly identify that person to make sure that you know who that person, what that communication type is. But then I'm going to give you 7 to 10 bullet points on each communication type as to the words and phrases that you need to be incorporating into your messaging that will land with that particular person.
This goes back to what I say a million times. All roads stem from and lead to your ideal client.
All roads.
You know that first, because if you don't identify that first, now you're like that client of yours who came to you, who spent probably $100,000 on very pretty marketing that made no money. Yeah. And I know that's frustrating. I hear from a lot of like professional designations where they take out ads on these glossy magazines and in the paper, and even like lawyers with the TV commercials, they're spending all this money and then they keep spending more money because they think, oh, if I spend more money or on Facebook ads and I'll get more clients. It's not if what you're putting in the ad doesn't connect.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. That's my biggest pet peeve. My lawyers who I see their ads in the high end glossy magazines. I get all of these magazines at my house and they all look the same. It's the justice, the
the scale in the background, like fancy wood paneling, maybe an oil painting.
Yeah. And they're standing there with their arms crossed across their chest with no smile, no emotion. And I'm like, if you're a family lawyer and you're trying to appeal to, say, women who need to get a divorce or whatever, I don't know. Do you want to look like, maybe you do want to look like you're a hard ass. Maybe that's your brand. But maybe your brand is you're a nurturer and you really want to lead someone to a better path, to a better journey. And maybe they don't need to see the harsh look and the hands across the chest. Again, who's your perfect client? What do they need to see and hear from you in order to really connect with you?
Does anyone really lean into, in person or online, someone who has these postures of closed off and hands, arms crossed, that kind of thing? Are there certain nonverbal things that are just like straight up, let's not do these?
I don't know if I can answer that or not. I can tell you that with the lawyer there's a family law lawyer that I work with, and all of her branding, all of her marketing is very warm and nurturing, and I'm helpful. And that those are the types of words that we use in her social media and her email marketing on her website kind of thing. To each their own. Like you say, all roads lead to who your perfect client is.
Well, because as a TV newscaster, we go through extensive training on non-verbals, and you do not cross your arms. You don't cross anything. Nothing's crossed.
Yeah.
It's like you are not crossing anything. And then they used to teach that terrible hand positioning that I watched them do, the triangle.
The triangle.
It's terrible. And I notice it because that was like an old school way of, because people, they don't know what to do with their hands. So let them hear, because you're not closed, but you're still open. But it's
yes.
And they used to make us do that hand or put our hands like that. I'm like, this is so weird, because I would never stand like that.
Okay. And they're still teaching that gesture. So in this book that I just finished reading, Cues, she talks about that gesture as well too. And I remembered it from my journalism days.
It probably doesn't work on me because I was trained on it. So I know it's performative. And let's be honest, are you standing in line at Starbucks in that position? Like, no. Let's be real. Like, we all know I have a resting bitch face because I'm so frozen from years of Botox. I just do. I see myself in pictures where like my photographers, let's do like a sexy look. I die laughing because I look mean. Even though when I'm taking it, I'm in a great mood, when I'm feeling sassy. I just look, and it's good for me to see those. You might even want to take video or pictures of yourself. It's good to see, because you don't know how you come across.
I know.
Even if you're someone who's super self-aware. And so I deliberately have trained myself to make sure I'm emoting with smiling. And it's not me being fake. I'm smiling on the inside.
Right. And I think I look at some of my C-type personalities, my accountants, my data, highly analytical people. They are lovely people. They have heart and soul. It's not like they're soulless or anything. They just are non-emotional. That's how they come across. And so I was working with an accountant, a badass accountant partner at a firm, but she is such a hard C personality that she was really pissing off people around her. And she was like, what am I doing that is so wrong? And I'm like, I tell you what, the energy that you put out is the energy that you're going to get back. And again, the problem with that is if you're trying to go in and sell business, and we're here in Texas, and so in the South, people are typically pretty smiley and warm and friendly, and you're walking into a room and everybody else is smiling and you're not, it sends off signals that you're not interested, that you'd rather be somewhere else, that you're not trustable. I mean, it sends signals. So you've got to pay attention to those things.
You're so right. And I just got off our final call for my 6-month mastermind. And I started off I thought of a really beautiful, cool idea of something for us to do. And it would be heavily serving. It was like basically a major gift to them. Okay. And there was no excitement on anyone's face whatsoever. And I go, wow. And you know me, I'm not really good at faking things. Well, some things, but anyway, it's another episode. So I said, you guys have kind of hurt. I really was excited to gift this to you and share this. And I'm not getting much feedback through the screen. If this does not sound fun to you or exciting to you, I won't be hurt, but let me know, because I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And it was really based on what we're talking about now. And I'm going, a lot of the people in in this round of the mastermind were heavy feelers.
Oh, interesting.
And it turned out that they all were excited, but they instantly went into thinking, oh, what am I going to share? Which took them somewhere else. They went into their head.
Yeah.
But I read it as unappreciated. They didn't give a fuck. Care. They don't care. And it did hurt.
Sure. Absolutely.
But that wasn't what the truth was, is my point.
Yeah. It's so interesting, just dissecting how we think and how we feel and how we come across. I mean, again, I look at some of my introverted personalities and I have friends that are introverted, and it's just how they're coming across is not necessarily what they're thinking or how they're feeling.
I know. I was engaged to one. And then if they're on the spectrum on top of it, now we have a whole nother, like they've got
episode.
Right. They've got like Aspergery stuff. Now you've got a whole nother can of worms, because everyone's heard people say, like, shy people, especially women, because of all the pressure and all the crap on women, can come across as being bitches, like being really bitchy and mean, but they're not bitchy people. But it comes across as they don't care, standoffish, I'm better than you, I'm aloof. But meanwhile, what's going on inside is all sorts of shyness and insecurity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, again, all of this comes down to self-awareness. And for all intents and purposes, if you're a business owner trying to sell, all roads lead to your ideal client. And you've got to really understand what's going to connect with them and taking a look at those nonverbal cues that they're signaling. And how can you best interpret that? How can you best communicate to that person? So I don't know. It's fascinating information, but it completely can change the trajectory of your business as well, too, when you pay attention to these things.
I would love to hear your take on investing in yourself to grow your business and not doing it alone. You have people invest in their business and working with you and see the results, and you invested in working with me. And what's the payoff of it? Because it is scary. Because when you started working with me, like, it's like you had a bunch of money coming in.
Oh God,
like,
no. I took from savings to do it.
Okay. So it's scary to do that. If we're all I always say to people, if you're sitting on a pile of cash, you would be applying for my high level, you're trying to get to multiple 7 figures program. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, of course you're coming to me so I can help you make the money. Like, someone coming to you and going, I need to get like these big whale clients and something's not connecting. And then they're like, oh, I don't have all this like excess income to invest. That's why you came to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I am. And I think that's the thing too. I learned over the past couple of years, and especially working with you, I invested a lot of money with various programs and coaches. And then I found you. Frankly, I binged your podcast first. And then I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, where do I need to sign on the bottom line to move this thing forward? Because I knew that you were my person who could help me. Right. And from a personality perspective, I tend to be very attracted to D-type personalities. And I knew that you would hold me accountable. I knew that I would, for as much work as I put into my business, I knew that you would give me just as much that I would get out of it to really move the needle. Right. It's hard for me to even work with clients. Well, anymore, I don't take clients who start to question they want to nitpick proposals.
What results can you get me? And do you have someone in my exact situation? And what can you guarantee?
Yeah. No
We're
guarantees.
done. We're done now. There's no guarantees in anything. And anyone who gives you one, by the way, is a scam.
A total scam. Yes, absolutely. No, I'm a big believer in it's like you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to invest in your business. If you're serious about wanting to make the millions as a partner with some of the people that I work with, guess what? It's going to cost you some money to get there. It just will. It will. Anything good takes time and it takes money to do. It just does.
And why do you think it is that people who are talented, who've had success in different areas of their life, get into such resistance around learning these things and getting external help to move the needle to grow themselves in business? Because it actually doesn't even fully make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. I think a lot, especially some of the people that I work with, and I know some of the people that you work with too, or at least have called and want to work with you. They're smart. They're highly educated. They feel as if, and I've been there too. I'm saying this was me 5 years ago. I'm smart. I've got a college degree. I've got 25 years of professional level, leadership level. Like, I have the governor's cell phone number in my cell phone. I can figure this out. I mean, people have hired me to do big stuff before. Surely I can do this. And the problem with that is that, oh my God, I mean, entrepreneurship is so freaking hard and you get in your head. And I'll say even for my corporate executive type people, I look at some of the women in corporate that I've worked with who are trying to break the glass ceiling still and trying to have the managing partner level roles that are traditionally white men, right? And the stories and narratives that you tell yourself as to why you can't have those things. I mean, you're shaking your head. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to have outside help to help get you going down the path that will.
Or you're going to create your own self-imposed glass ceiling, which I've done. I've done that.
Yeah.
By the same thing you said is, well, I'm sure I can figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I just need to do more of blank or be more blank and fill in the blank. It's no different than the lies around like exercise or other areas of our lives. It's if you know that you could be getting even 10% more yeses than nos with clients, it's a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know why I only got 2 clients out of 50 corporate pitches from when I started my other company, my first company, all corporate clients. I was an award-winning salesperson. The problem is now I wasn't selling on behalf of a company. I was selling Tiffany Carter.
Yeah, that's different.
Oh my God, I was a disaster. I would cringe seeing videos of my presentations today. If I could, I would love to have one to watch it. I was a disaster.
Oh yeah.
I overcompensated because I wanted it. So I information stuffed. Oh, and you get this, and I'm going to do this and this. And it was like, oh my God, I can imagine. And the people I was presenting to were in the D type.
They were like, can you get on with it? Like, let's move on.
Like, I had almost too much enthusiasm, which can read as desperate and thirsty, right? And annoying.
Oh, absolutely.
To that personality type.
Right.
Whereas you might appreciate that.
Oh, I would. But again, it goes back to your ideal client. Who are you selling to? And how do they want to receive information? You got to think about that first.
You have something so mind-blowingly generous, but don't do this, you guys, if you're doing it to like pick her brain.
No, I don't do brain pickers.
Because I've coached her. It's not going to happen. But you do offer 30-minute
trainings
consultations. Trainings for groups. Interesting.
Trainings for groups. Yeah. And it's typically businesses who will hire me. Like tomorrow I'm working with a big title company here in the Dallas area and training a lot of their real estate professionals and lending professionals on this very information that we just talked about. So it's just a 30-minute high-level training that I give you how to identify these particular types, how to communicate with these particular types. If you want to learn to work with me, then we need to have you take the DISC assessment. We need to ongoing coaching. Just because you take the DISC assessment and find out what your personality type is or communication type, you then need help on how to then communicate that to the people that you're trying to sell to as well too. But yeah, I work with people one-on-one as well, but I love doing the trainings. It's so much fun. The aha moments, just giving little nuggets of information. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know this before.
Do you have to have a certain size group, team, organization to be able to get you to do the 30-minute training?
I typically tend to like at least 20 to 25 people in the room. And of course, I want you to talk about me on social media. I have people take pictures and tag me on it because I want to grow my email list and that kind of thing too. And ultimately, I think this next fall, I'm probably going to be opening up a group coaching program in this.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know. So
I highly support this. You guys go check out Heather. You have a show. So she also has a show. What's the name of your podcast again?
So it's Money Making Marketing. And it's so funny. I started that podcast a year ago. And it's so funny. I was telling my good friend Keely, who's been a private client of yours as well too. I'm like, I feel like I might need to change the name of this podcast because it's more communication-based strategies. Because if you don't, and you've taught this as well too, if your message isn't nailed, like no amount of marketing is going to work for you. It's just
No,
not.
you can't. I don't care if you hire the best Manhattan ad firm and spend $10 million. You're going to waste that money.
You're going to waste it. And I see people do that all the time. All the time.
And they have to own their part in it too. Even when clients come to me who've been scammed by people who, right, like you've talked about this, or who have spent $200,000 on Facebook ads and $50,000 on a website, and it didn't get them anywhere, and they're venting and they're upset. I get it. I've done that too, and it sucks. And you're really mad at yourself, but we have to also take ownership on our part. Did we fall for the fantasy marketing?
Yeah.
What was it about it? It wasn't just that, not to take responsibility for someone else being a scammer or a manipulator, but there was some part in us that could be manipulated. We were wanting it like maybe the easy way. We thought we could do Facebook ads in a way to avoid ever really having to sell, which I see a lot of people do.
Oh my gosh.
And the fantasy marketers who claim, I'll build you a website, and then the SEO scam, which kills.
Oh my gosh.
And it still works on people.
It does.
Oh, I paid $20,000 a month for SEO so people could find our trust specialists law firm. And like, we don't get anybody. And it's, oh my God, that's not going to do it.
Oh my gosh. It's just so fascinating. And what I find a lot is a lot of these marketing graphics, branding firms that have, beautiful websites. I'll be the first to admit, I worked with a lawyer one time. He had a beautiful website, couldn't find the contact me. I was like, how are people connecting with you? Hello? Just basic call to action, didn't have it. The website, beautiful pictures, imagery, that kind of thing, didn't have his face on it anywhere. And I just was like, interesting.
It was like really nice stock photos.
Oh, it was beautifully done. He had paid, I think, $25,000 for it. And I'm just like, wow. And the messaging was so generic. It was like so generic. And he was a commercial transactions guy. And it's like his wording was the same wording that was on other commercial transaction litigator websites as well, too. And it's just, oh my gosh, what makes you different than anybody else out there? I can't even see your face on this website. How much money did you pay for this? Right. It's just pretty graphics. Really pretty graphics, but no clear messaging, no messaging that made him stand out above his competition, nothing unique.
And This is not easy, you guys, to do for your own business. You might be able, it's like giving relationship advice. We can all dole it out, right? But we have hard time taking it like for our own lives. That's why I always have multiple coaches. I'm always in a mastermind. I can't see what I can't see.
Right.
And I'm too in it. Yeah. Right. Like when you're standing in the picture frame, how are you supposed to see the whole picture?
Oh, absolutely.
So don't beat yourself up for not seeing it or catching it. How could you see it or catch it? You're not supposed to.
Yeah, you weren't trained in the people that I work with. I'm like, you were not trained in this stuff. I am. This is my world. This is what I've lived in for 25 years. You went to school to be the lawyer or the accountant or the commercial mortgage broker or whatever it is that you do. How could you possibly know all of that stuff?
And I don't know where we get that from, that, I should have known that. Maybe because it's like communication and talking to people. It's like, I should at least know how to talk to people.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, let me tell you. This is goes way deeper than that.
Oh, yeah. Do you really? Because I've heard that before, too. So I talk well with my clients. We're good. It's okay. So when's the last time that you were able to connect with a client and get them to buy into a bigger project, get them to do a bigger deal with you? You have certain services that you offer. Are they buying those services as well, too? Do you know how to talk to them about those services? And
in a way that feels comfortable to both people, feels good to both people.
Right. In a way that feels good.
You're so freaking great at isn't she great, you guys? I love you.
Hey, I learned from the master, though. You taught me how to hone in this energy and actually make something of it. I've had all this knowledge for a long time. I just needed to hire somebody to help me nail that down.
I know when someone has it immediately. And that's why I'm strict about who I accept. And I'm not always right. Like I can be fooled by things, particularly narcissists and crazy people. But it's not that you guys don't have it. It's not that you didn't have it. It's what do I do with it? How do I package it? How do I streamline it? You do have it. And really, we all have it.
We all have it. But you have to have people in your life, whether you pay them. I paid for it. And it was able to exponentially catapult my business to a whole new level that now I'm kind of like, okay, wow, this year is going to be the biggest. It's already on track to be the biggest year ever. And it's like, all right, so next year, I'm already thinking about for next year, these are the things that I need to put in place to be able to manage the business. I remember you telling me, you sent me a voice text one time because I was freaking out about, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting busy. I feel like I'm consistent now. And you made the comment about how you're right. You've got to figure out how to ride the wave. Like you can't have the wave crash you down. You've got to figure out how to streamline, how to be consistent with it, how to ride that wave. And I'm learning how to ride that wave. That's for sure.
And it can, I mean, if anyone's ever tried surfing or even like snowboarding, there's going to be parts of riding the wave that feel glorious and other parts where you're like, I might lose my life. Run into a tree.
I'm seeing the light. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But back to your question, you have about hiring the help. You've got to get out of your own head and you're not meant to do all things for all people. And you can't possibly know all of the things that you have to know in order to really run a highly profitable business. And so you got to hire the people who'll help you get there.
I'm curious, how is your family's response been to seeing your success and your delight in it?
I will say my husband, which entrepreneurship as being a married person was really tricky the first couple of years, but I don't know. I mean, he's such my biggest fan. What can we do? I mean, I told him about how I was going to have my podcast with you today. And he texted me an hour ago and he's like, go kill it. And my kids, it's like they know that mama's in her office doing her thing. And I'm able to buy my son a car and I'm able to do the things that I've always wanted to do, but have always felt like I couldn't do that for them. And now I can.
Now I'm crying.
But truth, and I give so much credit to you, Tiffany. You got me out of my head. And I'm an educated person who's done big things in my past corporate life, but I was so in my head, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And much like I know the clients that you serve, because I was one of them, and the clients that I serve, highly educated, incredible women, incredible people who are in their heads and they are just literally banging their head against a wall going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. What am I saying? What am I not saying? Why can't I close this deal? Why can't I connect with this client? I had a client who, I mean, she's my badass accounting partner, but she got so upset because she walked into this meeting. They were selling a big project or whatever, $1 million project kind of a thing. And they got a call the next day or whatever saying that this company didn't want to work with her. They wanted to work with her partner that went in with her.
Oh, what an ego hit.
Oh my God.
I would have destroyed me.
Devastated. Absolutely devastated. And that's what led her to me. She was just like, what am I doing wrong?
And that's the beauty, is she had to be totally destroyed
to
take uncomfortable action and hire you, which now she'll be the most successful she's ever been. But it's her being totally humbled and beyond anguish for her to take that action. That's the gift in it.
Oh, it is. But it doesn't have to be this way. It's like,
right. If you come ahead of time, right? If you drink the water before waiting till you're almost passed out of dehydration, yeah, it's a much easier path. But some of us have to clearly hit rock bottom before we do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes. And she was that. And she was like, what am I? But I remember just the desperation. I mean, and she's so smart and she's so technically, she's so good in so many areas. And I'm like, and she was the one.
And I mean, briefly, like what was the issue?
Yeah. Her issue was that she came across really cold, really, really cold. And she was walking into a very warm environment. And it's like the cold, prickly pear that doesn't bode well. Again, you've got to take some cues as to who's in the room. Are they smiling at you? Are they coming to you to welcome you into the room and shake your hand? And that, if you're signaling when you're not smiling, your body language is very closed off, you're a get down to business girl, but yet the people that you're working with want to chit chat, want to have small talk. I use that air quotes for that because I freaking hate small talk, but some people really need that in order to feel comfortable, right? When you're not seeing those cues, those signals that people are giving you, and you just dive into how you communicate and not paying attention to who else is in the room, you're going to piss people off. You're going to rub people the wrong way. You're not going to be able to connect at an emotional level with the people that are going to stroke the big checks to hire you to do the thing. They're just not going to do it.
It's true. And you guys, I had to learn. I'm from Chicago and I live in LA. Okay. So if I wanted to be able to get the interviews I wanted to get when I was a newscaster, and I had to get them or you're fired, PS. Right. Like that's how hardcore it is. So I was talking to people like you, right? You were my person, the gatekeeper to the person I needed to interview. Right. So it's like, if I didn't, people from like Chicago, I'm more like that East Coast personality, right? I didn't ask how the kids were like, listen, I need a soundbite and stick the mic in your face. Yeah. And I had to learn real quick, unless I didn't want to have a job, like you have to pick up on reading it. You've got to build, I had to build some rapport.
Oh, absolutely.
Or otherwise, like now there's no trust. Like I'm just the greedy, media hungry reporter who doesn't care.
Absolutely.
And I totally did care, but I was more focused on me. I better get this or I'm going to get fired. I've got to get this. I've got to get this. I've got to get this. It's all that was in my head, not pausing and reading the person for a moment.
Yeah. Read the room. I mean, shoot, read the room. And what are people telling you without even telling you anything? What are they telling you? Because there's so many things that you can pick up on and be able, just like my friend who went into the woman who had the bowl of candy and the family pictures in the background. He knew immediately. It was like, I've got to talk to her about her family in order to build that immediate trust and rapport. So she'll buy from me at some point. You know, it's just, you got to do those things. You got to do those things. That's how you
results speak for themselves. If you're at a standstill in your career, in your business, you're not getting the cash or clients you want. And it's not just been like a week. Like you are really not sure what you're doing wrong. Like, stop trying to force the square peg into the round hole and find out. Sure. But you have to be humble and willing to learn and hear some things from people who are coming from it from like a caring, kind place, but you have to be willing to hear it. Thank God I had some mentors. I had some were pretty harsh but I needed that at some times. I needed that heart. I mean, I had an old boss who was like, you just talk too fucking much. Like when someone says yes, shut the fuck up. And I was, of course, it made me like cry. I was like, I talk too much, but I never forgot it.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. I tell my extroverts, people like me, I'm like, the biggest thing that you can do when you're meeting new people or talking to potential new clients, shut up, just be quiet, listen. That's the best thing that you can do because I can talk too much.
This is the why we love talking to each other. It's so fun. Like
I know.
But we both do the same thing. So it's not off-putting to either of us.
Right. And we both use our hands.
I mean, now I'm be obsessed with this. Now I'm going to be like self-analyzing on a whole nother level. You guys will. Everything's in the show notes. Go check it out. Get her free stuff. Get her for your organization. You just need Heather in your life. Period. End of story.
And okay. You need me too. So yes.
You need us both. Love you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. You guys take a screenshot. And if you love this episode, share it with someone who you feel who can benefit from it. Share it in your Instagram, Facebook, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany, and I'll make sure that I share it. And I will also tag Heather. Just spread the love, leave a damn review for the show. If all you can do is literally take 3 seconds and tap 5 stars on Spotify or Apple, and then you have to come back to write the Apple review, I'm fine with that. But don't take in this incredible information, the amount of time and energy and money that goes into producing the show, and not leave a review or written testimonial. If you want testimonials and you want reviews and you want clients that are shouting you out and referring you and singing your praises, you have to really check yourself. When was the last time you've done that for the books that you love, the mentors that you love, the podcasts that you listen to? I mean, really, that your nail person, the lady who does your hair, have you written, when was the last time you wrote a Yelp review? Kind of check yourself, because once you start doing those things regularly, you'll see how many end up coming to you naturally in return. All right. Love you guys.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.